Welcome back to New Rockstars. I'm Erik Voss, and this is a breakdown of The Marvels, the 2023 Marvel team-up film with Captain Marvel Carol Danvers, Monica Rambeau, and Ms. Marvel Kamala Khan. And spoiler warning, some shocking cameos that Marvel couldn't help but find an excuse to throw into this mix. We are back breaking down this film shot by shot for all the Easter eggs, references, and details you missed. And since back in April of this year, I teamed up to break down the very first teaser for The Marvels. And nearly 3 years ago, I teamed up to witness Monica Rambeau's MCU origin story in WandaVision. I am proud to welcome back to break down this movie with me, Jessica Clemons!
I'm excited to be back and excited to talk about this movie because I loved it so much. It means a lot to me.
Higher, further, faster, Jess.
Higher, further, faster. Oh, I got icked by you saying it to me, but in the movie I cried.
Yeah, I shouldn't say that. Anyway, this Thursday, November 16th, New Rockstars is going to be doing a special live show in Los Angeles at Brain Dead Studios. Ticket info in the description. It's going to be a lot of fun, and the best way to support New Rockstars is with a Flurkin-inspired shirt available at nerdriot.shop. Thank you to Boxu for sponsoring this video. More on their tasty offerings later. Okay, the opening Marvel Studios fanfare has been updated to include Kamala, Monica, and Carol, all at iconic moments from their pasts. We see Kamala from Ms. Marvel Episode 6 with her embiggened hands, Monica when she first re-entered the Westview Hex in WandaVision Episode 7 with her newly acquired powers, Carol at the first moment she went binary in Captain Marvel, but binary means something else in this movie now, Kamala when she first sensed her light powers in Ms. Marvel Episode 1 at AvengerCon looking at her bangle, Carol walking out on the tarmac toward the jets with Maria in Captain Marvel saying higher, further, faster, and Monica pushing through the Hex wall in WandaVision Episode 7.
Yes, and then on the Marvel card, in the M, Carol turning toward the camera from Captain Marvel. In the A, Monica reaching her hand toward the Hex wall in WandaVision Episode 4. In the R, Carol pointing a gun to the fighter crash site right before the explosion gives her her powers. In the V, Kamala lily padding across hard light platforms in Ms. Marvel. And in E, Monica in her sword shirt from WandaVision. And in the L, Kamala using her bangle.
Now next we see the dying red-orange sun of the solar system of the planet Hala, the Kree home world. Now in the Marvel comics, this star is called Pama, and it's contained within the Large Magellanic Cloud. Later, Monica refers to the Kree central galaxy as the Magellanic Galaxy, which is a reference to the nebula in the comics, and also named after the two irregular dwarf galaxies that orbit the Milky Way in our universe. These were named after Ferdinand Magellan, whose navigator, Antonio Pigafetta, spotted these on Magellan's circumnavigation expedition from 1519 to 1522, but Pama was initially shown as a blue sun in Silver Surfer number 4, but when Hala is seen orbiting it in Captain Marvel number 46, it is a yellow-orange color. But really, this is the crisis that motivates Dar-Ben in this movie. It's a dying sun that needs a cosmic miracle. Hala does get destroyed in the comics, and the Kree relocate to a new planet in the system called Kree Pama. Luckily, Carol in this movie pulls an Icarus at the end of the movie and kickstarts it with a fusion reaction at a perfect temperature that does not fry the Kree with a deadly solar flare, as I thought might happen.
Dar-Ben's diamond-shaped warship flies through the hexagon-shaped jump point. We've seen this grid in the MCU before, starting with Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2, and it appeared again in Captain Marvel, Avengers Endgame, and Guardians Volume 3. It used to be known as the UNTN, but this movie just calls them jump points. They were created by the two quantum bands. Dar-Ben heads to the planetoid MB418 in search of these bands. She's played in the movie by Zawe Ashton. Her Kree advisor is Tyrone, played by Daniel Ings, and yes, that name is just Tyrone. Yes!
Now, in the comics, Dar-Ben is a Kree general who joins Ael'dan as joint emperors of the Kree Empire for a time, first appearing in Silver Surfer number 53 in 1991. But in this film, she is an accuser who carries a Cosmi Rod, the same rank and the same staff carried by Ronan in Guardians of the Galaxy and in Captain Marvel. But here, Dar-Ben seems to be the general who won a Kree civil war in the aftermath of Carol's annihilation of the Kree Supreme Intelligence. So remember, winning a war doesn't make one a great ruler automatically, and Dar-Ben now has to make good on her promise to the Kree to save their world.
Dar-Ben puts on one of the quantum bands, but looks for the other one in the dust. As we saw in the Ms. Marvel series, the other band went to Earth in India in a cavern marked with the symbol of the 10 rings. In 1942, a group of clandestines from the Nord Dimension, including Najma and Aisha, discovered the other band on a severed blue arm. Through Aisha, it passed down Kamala's family tree to her. This movie does not answer what the band's history is with the 10 rings, but one theory is that they came to the dimension with the 10 rings and they all share the same ancestry. Remember in the Shang-Chi film, non-explained displayed the history of the civilization beyond Tao Lo that was destroyed by the Dweller in Darkness. That realm could be connected with the Nord dimension and the Ten Rings. All of these come from the neighboring dimension or realm, and one cosmic figure created the gateway using the bands to bridge and the rings to destroy.
I like that. Bands to bridge, rings to destroy. I mean, Darth Ban does say that the bands were forged as a pair. Forged, which tells us that someone made these. So from here, we hop to Jersey City and we hear MIA's Double Bubble Trouble. In Kamala's room, we see photos of her friends Bruno and Nakia from Ms. Marvel, and her computer is open on the page of her YouTube channel, Sloth Baby Productions. Now, we first met Kamala Khan, played by Iman Vellani, in the 2022 Ms. Marvel series. An enthusiastic Avengers stan from Jersey City, she discovers a bangle sent to her by a grandmother from Pakistan and uses it to cosplay as her hero, Captain Marvel, at AvengerCon. The bangle unlocks within Kamala a power that she calls Hard Light, which she applies to some heroics in her Pakistani-American community. Kamala is approached by a group called the Clandestines, beings from the Nor dimension, Nor meaning light, led by Najma. Najma and Kamala's great-grandmother Aisha were banished from the Nor dimension, and it was they who found the bangle in 1942 on a severed blue arm in ruins marked with the symbol of the Ten Rings. Aisha's daughter, Kamala's grandmother, was separated from her family in a chaotic train station in 1947 during the partition of India and Pakistan. But in the present day, during a fight with the clandestines in Pakistan, Kamala's bangle takes her back in time to that night, and we learn it was she who saved her own grandmother, and that the bangle can split the fabric of space and time and reality. Ms. Marvel ends with Kamala in a new suit and a moniker from her father, the name Ms. Marvel. Kamala's friend Bruno identifies her as a mutant.
Kamala, there's something different in your genes. Like a mutation.
Whatever it is, it's just gonna be another label.
Now, Kamala Khan as a comics character debuted in 2012 as a Carol fan in Captain Marvel comics, but shortly after got her own 2013 spin-off run from writer G. Willow Wilson, where Kamala was identified as an Inhuman. But G. Willow Wilson confirmed after the Ms. Marvel series came out on Disney Plus that she always intended Kamala to be a mutant. But back then, Marvel Entertainment CEO Ike Perlmutter prohibited the comics from introducing new mutants or X-Men or Fantastic Four because he didn't want to help rival movie studios. But now those rights have reverted to Marvel Studios, and obviously the MCU characters and X-Men can appear on screen together. But when I asked Iman Vellani about the time travel mechanics on her series, she confirmed that her going back in time was part of Kang's plan. Do you think Kang or He Who Remains might have planned specifically for Kamala to go back in time?
Yeah. Okay, so the inscription on the bangle used to be, what is destined for you will come for you. We did change it after that, but I like to use that as a way of, justifying how Kamala goes back in time and why that was meant to happen.
Similar to the art style of the first episode of Ms. Marvel, we swoop into Kamala's notebook to see her sketches of herself and Carol Danvers come to life. Her physics equations mentions Hooke's law, which deals with the forces of springs, and a note from Kamala, physics sucks. It does! To get to know Kamala, you really need to flip through her drawings. Iman Vellani herself famously carries around a notebook filled with Marvel trivia and theories and questions for Kevin Feige. She showed this to Erik in your guys' interviews because I screenshotted it and I saved it in my phone.
She has it. She needs to keep that in like a locked case.
I'm surprised he hasn't taken it away yet.
And we see here also on yellow strips, Kamala kind of breaks herself down. Kamala Khan, 16, powers, hard light, likes comics, writing fan fiction, dogs, nihari, and smushies. Nihari is a delicious slow-cooked meat in Pakistani cuisine, and dislikes homework and spiders. Ooh, will Kamala Khan find Peter Parker to be gross? She hates physics while he loves physics. They're both active YouTube commenters. I think we're looking at a Jersey City versus Queen showdown in Secret Wars.
Yes! Oh my, I would eat that up. Kamala's sketches depict her and Carol fighting a giant robot and then a series of smaller robots. Could this foreshadow those two someday fighting Sentinels? In Kang's Dynasty? In the Kang Dynasty comics of the late 90s, we learned that Kang's objective as Victor Timely in 1901 was to retcon America's history with robotics to install a backdoor in all robotic technology so that he could hijack all the Sentinels in the present day.
Ooh, twinsies! I mean, that'd be fun to see them fight.
Twinsies!
Meanwhile, on Carol's spaceship, she uses Skrull memory tech. Remember that? She uses this to recollect her memories that the Kree had brainwashed out of her mind. And we see flashes of events of the 2019 Captain Marvel film. So actually, let's recap. Carol Danvers' origin story began as an Air Force pilot involved with the top secret Project Pegasus back in 1989, along with her co-pilot Maria Rambeau, call sign Photon. They work with Dr. Wendy Lawson, who we later learn is a Kree scientist who was secretly experimenting on the Tesseract to build a lightspeed engine for Skrull refugees who were hidden in Earth's orbit. The Kree commander, Yon-Rogg, interfered though, and Carol gets hit with a blast of cosmic radiation released by that engine that is powered by the Tesseract. With new powers, she's brought back to the Kree homeworld of Hala by Yon-Rogg, who brainwashes her to think that her name was actually Veers from the severed half of her dog tag, and she joins the Kree Star Force to hunt Skrulls. But the Skrulls capture Veers and scan her memories, a process that begins to deprogram her into realizing that the Skrulls aren't the bad guys, the Kree are. So, back on Earth in 1995, Carol meets Nick Fury and Agent Coulson and rejoins Maria Rambeau and her daughter Monica Rambeau, whom she calls Lieutenant Trouble. Carol defeats Yon-Rogg and fends off a barrage by Kree militant Ronan, you remember him from Guardians of the Galaxy, and we end the movie with Carol helping the Skrulls find a new home world, and through it all we also meet Goose the Flurkin, an alien species that resembles a cat, but had mouths full of tentacles that allow them to swallow large items. While Captain Marvel has a longer history in Marvel Comics as Mar-Vell, a male Kree soldier, and Carol Danvers was really his high-skirted Miss Marvel love interest, the cinematic version of the character is based on Kelly Sue DeConnick's amazing 2011 reboot of the character, who had a suit based on a pilot's flight suit, and was really conceived to have the gearhead mind of Tony Stark and the patriotic courage of Steve Rogers. But according to the book MCU, the Random Marvel Studios, when DeConnick pitched Kevin Feige and Marvel Studios on a Captain Marvel movie, they compared Carol to a soldier who gets knocked down and always gets back up as a quality in line with Steve Rogers. But DeConnick later clarified that instead of saying, "I could do this all day," when Carol Danvers gets back up, she's really just saying, you. Captain Marvel's insignia first appeared in the MCU in the post-credit scene of Avengers Infinity War on Nick Fury's pager, a pager with an origin revealed in the Captain Marvel film. Carol reappeared in Avengers Endgame, saving everybody, nearly beating Thanos before getting walloped by the Power Stone, and then Carol appeared in the post-credit scene of Shang-Chi when she said she was uncertain of the Ten Rings origin, and then again in the post-credit scene of the Miss Marvel series, a moment that we see in this film. But at the very end of this memory montage, we see a new moment, Carol landing in the structure on the planet Hala that houses the Kree Supreme Intelligence, and a shot of a younger Dar-Benn in the hall witnessing what happened there.
On Carol's bookshelf is a photo of Maria Rambeau, a photo of the American Southwest, and an article about astronaut Monica Rambeau from the Magnolia Weekly. Local Louisianan shoots for the stars. A local Louisianan woman has set her sights on the stars. After graduating from Rice University with a degree in psychology and physics and astronomy, Monica Rambeau. Oh my god, I love her so much. Carol is continuing to keep tabs on Monica's career, and she identifies the Rambeau home in Louisiana as the only real home she has left.
Yeah, she takes it at the end of the movie.
She doesn't. It's both of theirs. She's holding it. She's holding it down.
Seems like she's moving in. She is moving in.
Don't start. Don't you start.
Carol uses a laser pointer to direct Goose the Flurkin to switch on the coffee maker, and you'll notice this is a different cat from the one used for the 2019 Captain Marvel. That was a 12-year-old cat named Reggie who had an orange mouth. This cat has a white mouth. It's not Reggie anymore. Goose is played by two cats named Nemo and Tango, and apparently Brie Larson is highly allergic to feline dander, so anytime you see her with the cat on her shoulder in this movie, it's probably VFX, or Brie Larson is just tripping on Benadryl.
That's what she gets for stealing that home. Nick Fury calls from the Saber space station. We later learn Saber stands for Strategic Aerospace Biophysics and Exolinguistic Response. The structure of the station is based on the Peak, the space station of S.W.O.R.D. in the Marvel Comics, overseen by S.W.O.R.D. director Abigail Brand. In the establishing shot of the space station, it is not labeled with the text or given any numerical coordinates, which is odd because the trailer version of the shot did provide this text, which includes the same C053 coordinates for Earth that we saw in Captain Marvel.
Yeah, I wonder why they changed it. It's kind of weird. Carol calls Nick the one-eyed man of mystery. He calls her the prodigal child of the Milky Way, and as they talk, you can see Fury's pager on the desk in the foreground of his office. It's just a reminder that Carol's introduction to the MCU came in the form of a pager in the Infinity War post-credit scene. And quick recap on what our man Fury's been up to. So Nick Fury met Carol Danvers in the 2019 Captain Marvel film, set back in 1995. He renamed his plan for the Protector Initiative after Carol's call sign of Avenger. Since Goose the Flurkin held onto the Tesseract, Fury continued Project Pegasus through the events of the 2012 Avengers film. After Avengers Endgame, Nick Fury relocated to a Skrull space station and had the Skrull Talos carry out his bidding on Earth, sometimes appearing as him. In the Secret Invasion series, Nick Fury returns to Earth to deal with a rebellious faction of Skrulls led by Gravik and Talos' daughter of Gaia, who you'll remember played Uno with young Monica in the final minutes of Captain Marvel. Gravik is seeking the Harvest, in which Nick Fury had Skrulls comb the aftermath of the Endgame final battle to recover Avenger DNA. This includes the DNA of Carol Danvers, whom we didn't see bleed in that battle, but Thanos did punch her pretty hard, and in that deleted scene where they all take a knee at Tony's corpse, you can see her bleeding a little bit. Secret Invasion ends with Gaia becoming becoming an insanely overpowered Super Skrull with powers including Carol Danvers' cosmic radiation powers. Fury goes back into space, and Marvel fans everywhere were pretty pissed off when that series tried to establish Rhodey in every single one of his scenes since Captain America Civil War in 2016 as a Skrull named Rava. When Goose scrambles around on that touchscreen to interfere, I like how Fury asks if it was Goose with a bit of fear in his voice. Just a reminder that it was Goose who scratched his eye to give him his iconic scars, and then later in this movie he politely pets the Flurkin, so, you know, no hard feelings.
I love him. I love him. Monica repairs the station in a spacewalk with fellow Saber astronaut Dag, Abraham Popula, and Talia, Layla Fazard. I'm sorry if I butchered both your names, you're phenomenal in the movie. Her hand phases through the glove of the spacesuit to harness electromagnetism to fuse the metal. It's an interesting visual choice, and I think it's meant to show that Monica can exist in open space and shoot energy from her hands, setting her up for a big sacrifice play in the final act. Fury tries to connect Carol and Monica in a conference call, and the two women do not want to talk to each other. Fury's always trying to get stubborn Avengers to work together. Maybe he should just tell Carol that he stole her DNA for the harvest.
Now, we first met Monica Rambeau, as played by Teyonah Parris, in WandaVision, returning from the blip to realize that her mother, Maria, died of cancer a few years prior. Monica followed Maria's footsteps as a part of SWORD, back when Monica was working as an astronaut. But now she investigates the Westview phenomenon and gets sucked into the Hex reality that was cast by Wanda Maximoff. Monica briefly befriends Wanda, but then gets cast out of the Hex. When Darcy Lewis and Jimmy Woo bring up Carol Danvers from the Battle of Earth in Endgame, Monica gets pretty frosty.
She could have taken out Thanos on her own if he hadn't initiated a blitz. I mean, nobody else came close.
Her powers came from an Infinity Stone too, right?
We are not talking about her, we are talking about Wanda.
Monica re-enters Wanda's Hex, a grueling transition through the cosmic radiation that leaves her with electromagnetic powers, like allowing bullets to phase through her body. She ends WandaVision being approached by a Skrull to meet Nick Fury in space. And one other detail you should know about the Rambeau family in the MCU, in Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness, Lashana Lynch plays Captain Marvel Maria Rambeau from the 838 universe. So in at least one other reality within the multiverse, Maria Rambeau Photon becomes Captain Marvel, not Carol Danvers.
In this scene, Monica slowly reaches out to touch the hexagon-shaped jump point portal, and she whispers to herself, "Beautiful." She's like a moth to a flame. She's so drawn to it, and I love it. This is also the instinct she followed when she reached out to touch the radiation of the hex wall in WandaVision's hexagons. And then Nia DaCosta divides the frame to show Monica's hand and Carol's hand reaching out to touch the same energy, while Kamala wedges in between them while looking at her bangle. This is a beautiful way of showing that through Kamala, these two women find their way back to each other.
It's really, really cool. And then, switch! Monica takes Carol's place on MB418. Carol takes Kamala's place in her bedroom, creating that post-credit scene of the Ms. Marvel finale. And Kamala takes Monica's place in her spacesuit. She's screaming as everything is spinning around her with this point of view shot, just like Sandra Bullock in Gravity, and then meets Nick Fury upside down.
Nick Fury! Hi! Is this an Avengers test?
I love that Kamala assumes part of the Avengers initiation is to just be teleported out of your bedroom into space with no warning. Like, that's just something they all have to go through. Carol looks around Kamala's bedroom, seeing a drawing of Kamala forming the Black Widow pose with the word yes, and then drawings of the two of them together, captioned besties, and then Carol and Kamala save the world, make it happen. I think a valid way of seeing this movie is as a kind of fan fiction from the imagination of Kamala Khan. Like, it's her dream to not only team up with Captain Marvel, but for Kamala to be the fixer of Carol and some kind of issue in her life, like her relationship with her Lieutenant Trouble. Now, I'm not saying this whole movie is like a hallucination. No, it happened. I just think it's fun to think of it as a Marvel nerd's dream come true. Everything good and bad that comes with that. And that kind of helps us forgive some of the wackier, more indulgent excesses of the movie.
Carol fights Dar-Ben's Kree soldiers on MB418. They have the same helmets as the soldiers in Miss Minutes orientation video in Loki episode 1. Those soldiers were fighting a purple-skinned army, and we assumed those were Titans based on the ships in the background. Carol learns that Dar-Ben is going after the Skrulls on Tarnax. Tarnax 4 is known in the Marvel Comics as the new home of the Skrulls Empire following their relocation from Skrullos. We saw the destruction of Skrullos in the opening of the Secret Invasion series. Tarnax ends up getting destroyed by Galactus in the comics. The Skrulls have the worst luck, literally imaginable.
Yeah, definitely. Carol approaches Tarnax and activates some invisibility tech on her ship. This is the same tech that the Skrulls used on their space station in Captain Marvel. We've also seen it on the helicarrier in the MCU, but Dar-Ben convenes with Emperor Droge, the leader of the Skrulls that was mentioned by Talos in episode 2 of Secret Invasion.
You're telling me there's 1 million Skrulls walking amongst us right now? Have you lost your reptilian-ass mind?
I sent out the call, and every Skrull that isn't in Emperor George's colony, they answered.
In the Marvel Comics, the Skrull, Droji Finu Idu, is the high priest scientist who invents super Skrull technology. But here he is the leader of the Skrulls, a Scottish character actor, Gary Lewis. They discuss the long history of Skrull persecution by the Kree Empire, and at first it seems like Dar-Benn is totally sympathetic. Like she says when her predecessor was destroyed, heretics filled the void, and their planet collapsed as their sun began to die. But remember, since this was a civil war, successors to the Kree Supreme Intelligence were only heretics from Dar-Benn's point of view. She just ousted whoever took over afterward and then branded them as heretics.
In this chamber, there's some interesting Skrull artwork carved into the walls with multiple layers, like it's showing the Skrull transformation process in a snapshot. It looks vaguely similar to the opening animation of the Secret Invasion title sequence, but Dar-Benn says she'll help with the relocation, saying she would hate for the Skrulls to suffocate when she strips the atmosphere.
That's right, she's taking their air. It's mine, mine, I want it.
God damn it.
Yeah, doesn't it feel like this is kind of similar to the plot in Spaceballs where President Scroob and Dark Helmet try to use the Mega Maid to vacuum up the air from Druidia? I mean,
Yep.
It's silly, but it's fun.
Nia DaCosta is a Spaceballs fan, and I think that's insane to think about for this.
Carol uses her powers and swaps with Kamala, and Kamala witnesses how a flurkin works. Yeah, remember, she's not just reacting to the cat, she's reacting to teleporting to a random Skrull hallway and then seeing a cat eat someone. Kamala makes a shield and then swaps again, this time with Monica, and Kamala brings Goose to their living room while Cricket is playing on the TV. Goose coughs up 2 Kree, and then, I love this, the Flurkin immediately hisses at them.
Carol swaps with Kamala and joins the whole Khan family in fighting the 2 Kree. The music here is Ratatata by Skrillex, Missy Elliott, and Mr. Oizo. I probably pronounced that wrong again, and I'm so sorry. The song is still really good. This sequence doesn't always show it, but remember, every time there's a swap, one of the 3 is back with Fury in the space elevator trying to explain what's going on. Kamala traps some Kree from Tarnax in a bubble from her hard light, so all of them get swapped to the space elevator with Nick Fury. Whenever Kamala teleports somewhere confusing, just seeing Nick Fury is enough to make her feel like she's at home. Back in the Khan house, Goose helps by using his tentacles to move the chair out from under Monica so she dodges the attack, but then he swallows the chair. Goose is particularly Kirby-esque in this movie, and we later learn it's because the Flurkin is pregnant.
Yeah, entanglement is a big component of what makes the Marvels fun, and you can keep that fun going by entangling, snacking, and surprise with Boxu. Boxu is a premium Japanese snack box that works with family businesses all over Japan to deliver a new theme of authentic Japanese snacks every month. And honestly, it makes a great gift. Fun snacks that you'd usually have to travel to try, people love it. And beyond the snacks, each Boxu comes with a booklet that teaches you all about the theme and where the snacks come from so that you can have a deeper appreciation for what it is you're munching on. The first box of any Boxu subscription is the Seasons of Japan. After that, you receive a new theme every month with curated seasonal snacks. One of my favorite things for these is a white strawberry. It's so sweet, and the strawberries infused with white chocolate just make like, oh my God, it's heaven. It's a bite of heaven, I'm telling you. But they also have these smoky radish chips, which compared with the sweet white chocolate strawberry, this just makes for a nice smoky something. Oh yeah. Ooh, so good, so good. Both I and the new Rockstars office have been receiving these boxes for ages. We love them. So if you want to try Boxu and support the channel, click the link in the description and use code Rockstars to get $15 off your order. So Monica absorbs energy from the spear, so she's able to throw this Kree, but then she flies behind him to phase through him and then punches him in the face, and in doing so swaps back with Kamala. Now at one point, Nick Fury just kills this Kree while he's just sitting in a seated position. Like we read in the amazing book, MCU Reigning of Marvel Studios, that Samuel L. Jackson apparently hates running in these movies. So I love that they found a way to give him a kill without even having to stand up.
What?
He hates it. He's like, don't make me run.
He shows up to Star Wars, he's like, give me a purple saber. He goes to Marvel, he's like, I'm not running.
Now, when Kamala and her family sweep up the mess, there is a newspaper in the rubble that reads, how the new government's towers could affect you. Now this could be referring to government like telecom towers, maybe a kind of conspiracy tabloid headline, but I actually wonder if it could be referring to the government takeover of Avengers Tower, which might be one of many towers that the government is taking through eminent domain in recent years. That would just lend credence to the speculation that CIA Director Val is the one who has overtaken Avengers Tower.
Fury and Monica arrive, and Monica pulls up Kamala's file on a tablet. Kamala asks, if this is all top secret information, then why is it on a clear case? Later, when she holds up the tablet to cover her face for a secret side chat with Monica, Kamala forgets it's clear and her brother can actually see her. Muniba worries that the government is surveilling them, recalling the jerk Agent Deaver and Miss Marvel, who used the DODC investigation as an excuse to do some racial profiling on Muslims in Jersey City. This is a real thing that Muslim communities in America have to face all the time. Fury responds, surveillance is a strong word, because for him, he learned a hard lesson about government overreach with Project Insight and Captain America: The Winter Soldier.
Monica explains,
You can absorb light, I can see it, and Kamala,
Who's Kamala?
can turn light into physical matter, which I have never heard of.
yeah, the additionally weird element to Kamala's power set probably comes from her mutant status. It's not just the electromagnetic manipulation that she can do. Kamala can use light as an extension of her body and surfaces to bounce off of. Kamala swaps with Carol, and Carol and Monica see each other again for the first time in years.
It is so good to see you, Lieutenant Trouble.
You too. And it's Captain Rambeau now.
Yeah, Carol is calling Monica by her childhood nickname, and Monica's like, that's not my name! But I like how this sets up Carol to miss having a little sister figure, and Kamala just fits that void perfectly in this movie. Carol asks,
When did you get powers?
I walked through a radiation shielding barrier of a witch hex, and now I can manipulate and see all wavelengths of the electromagnetic spectrum.
Witch Hex! Somewhere Wanda's like, keep my name out your f***ing mouth!
She is. She straight up is. But Nick Fury totally makes fun of the fact that Monica got her powers from a witch hex, shouting at Monica, "Black girl magic," to get her to fly up and save Kamala after Aunt Carol tried to kill her. I grabbed John in the theater. I said, "What did you just say?" Because I wasn't sure I heard it correctly. Kamala in this scene wears a shirt with 2 Captain Marvel comic books. These are not real Captain Marvel comics. They were designed in the style of Captain Marvel comics though, and I remember when we had to research this hard and we could not find it because it didn't exist.
Find them. Don't exist.
As Kamala falls, the camera never shows Midtown Manhattan, just the financial district in Jersey City, so we never get a clear shot of where Avengers Tower would be. It's located near Grand Central Station to the site of the real-world MetLife building.
So Monica and Kamala swap with Carol, and Fury's like, oh good, it's Carol. And then they get stuck with Dar-Ben on Tarnax, but Carol flies in at the last second to save them. Now, I know Carol can move fast, Jess, but I do not understand how she got to this precise point across the galaxy so quickly. Like, it seems like there was a plot hole in the way that the sequence came together, or maybe a deleted scene, but the VFX artists, you can tell, just painted in Carol in the distance behind Kamala and Monica gradually approaching to try to justify it, I think. And then she just appears out of nowhere to block Dar-Ben's blast. I think the scene just isn't edited in a way to build tension around Carol approaching in the background there. Like, if you were disoriented by this first act, it's okay. It was just a bit messy. It's still very fun, just a bit messy. There's also a crazy moment, I don't know if you heard this, Jess, when Carol appears, and in the scoring or the sound mix, there is like a vocal scream, and I thought that was coming from our theater.
Same.
But yeah, it's so weird. I think it's something they added to the mix to underline Dar-Ben's rage at Carol for being the annihilator who ended the Kree way of life, but it's a really weird choice.
Dar-Ben rips open a portal above Tarnax, sucking the air out and destroying the colony. Kamala tries to save as many Skrulls as she can, but they have to leave several behind. You can actually see innocent lives behind in the valley to suffocate.
Switch! Oh my gosh, I just swapped with John. We're cosmically entangled. He's in San Francisco now, so I'm here.
Oh my God! He's in San Francisco, you're in LA. Honestly, no better place for John to be away from his.
Yeah, don't leave stuff in your car, John. Anyway, shall we continue with this breakdown?
Yes, please.
Let's do it. So the Bifrost hits Carol's ship and Valkyrie appears. Now, the last we saw Valkyrie was in Thor: Love and Thunder. She was training Heimdall's son, Axel. Remember his cool VFX face? So Axel might be steering the Bifrost currently. Valkyrie says, I've been in some unintentional teams myself, referring to the Revengers from Thor Ragnarok, but also the lineup that these two characters shared in Endgame. Valkyrie takes these scrolls presumably back with her to New Asgard, which is especially interesting after the recent proclamation by the US president in the Secret Invasion finale.
Presenting to Congress for immediate emergency authorization a bill that designates all off-world born species enemy combatants. We know who you are. We know how to find you. And we will kill every last one of you.
Yikes! Valkyrie is bringing these Skrulls to a planet with a very hostile superpower hunting them down. But Ritson declared war on all extraterrestrials, including the Asgardians as much as the Skrulls, so perhaps New Asgard might be becoming a kind of sanctuary state. Or maybe Valkyrie has moved everyone in New Asgard somewhere else, like Thanos' retirement planet, the Garden.
Let's hope, let's pray.
Dar-Ben takes us back to the incident where Carol destroyed the Kree Supreme Intelligence.
In the 2019 Captain Marvel film, we never saw the Supreme Intelligence's true form. It took on a new appearance depending on
whoever was meeting with it. But now we see its true appearance, and it's a massive green face with dangling circuitry. This is how the Kree Supreme Intelligence looks like in the comics. It's a vast cybernetic computer system with acres of circuits connecting the disembodied brains of the greatest leaders and thinkers in Kree history. It was created to help the Kree race outlast the end of its evolutionary path. All of the Kree society runs from this Supreme Intelligence.
Yeah, so like thousands of years of Kree Aristotles, Kree Benjamin Franklin's, Kree Gandhis, they were all just wiped out. This wasn't the equivalent of like a Kevin robot that Carol could have unplugged. It was cryogenically preserved like saints of this society. Saints who admittedly algorithmically decided to gaslight Carol and exterminate the Skrulls, but still, Carol left the Kree with no alternative government. No shit there was a civil war afterwards. But it's interesting just to think about when Carol did this, because Dar-Benn says, quote, "For 30 years, I've been fighting alongside you." The Marvels takes place in 2025 because the Ms. Marvel finale took place in spring 2025. So 30 years before that would be 1995, the year of the first Captain Marvel film. So that was the year Carol parted ways with the Kree. So like she left Yon Rog and then went right back to Valhalla to wreck the Supreme Intelligence. And that would mean that the Kree have been in this state of unrest for the entire time that we've known them in the MCU, including the first Guardians of the Galaxy movie with Ronan. Could Ronan be that heretic that Dar-Benn alludes to? It's just all this is wild. No wonder they're assholes.
They're allowed to be at this point, and now we kind of fight for the Kree. Maybe we should edit that out. I don't know if I want people to know that I fight for the Kree. Regardless, Kamala asked Carol if the name Miss Marvel is copyright infringement. The name Captain Marvel came from the copyright dispute between Marvel and the owners of the rights of the original Captain Marvel, aka Shazam, which is why Stan Lee in 1967 got around it by naming the character Marvel. So cartoony. Kamala continues to brainstorm on the moniker for Monica trying Professor Marvel. Professor Marvel was the fortune teller character in The Wizard of Oz.
Yes, Oz.
Kamala tells them that her bangle once traveled her through time and space, and Carol says their proper name is quantum bands. Carol says she thought quantum bands were a myth, a Kree legend, devices that were used to create every jump point in the universe.
Yeah, so quantum bands are from Marvel Comics, originating in Fantastic Four number 164 and appearing throughout the Quasar comics and the Annihilation Conquest storyline. They are bands that draw energy from the quantum zone. That's the realm from which all actual energy in the Marvel universe derives, and they were actually created by Eon, a cosmic entity who oversees time. We actually saw this mess head as one of the statues in Eternity's chamber in Thor: Love and Thunder. So the bands in the comics were given to Kronos, who is the father to Alars, and Alars was the father to Thanos and Eros. So in the comics, it was these bands that allowed Alars and Suisan to sire those two. Over the years, the bands have been worn by characters like Quasar, Annihilus, Phyla-Vell, who we just saw in Guardians Volume 3, Nova, and now Wendell Vaughn, aka Blue Marvel. But this confirmation is just such a huge deal. The quantum zone from the comics could be, in the MCU, the quantum realm, or maybe the Nor dimension. These bands may be the link between everything Marvel Cosmic, Thanos, the 10 Rings, the quantum realm, and Kamala Khan. I kind of feel like that gold marking that Carol dusted off on MB418 might have been connected to Quasar.
Oh, I like that. Monica mentions Dar-Benn's space hammer thingy, which Carol says is called the universal weapon. Kamala says she was going to call it the Cosmirod. Cosmirod has been the name used for this warhammer in the MCU since it was wielded by Ronan in Guardians of the Galaxy, but in Marvel Comics, its name is the universal weapon, carried by Kree accusers. Carol gives them all scroll devices to actively scrub through their memory.
Yeah, and we see a lot of fun Disney Plus callbacks here, because there's one frame of a black and white shot of Monica in 60s attire. This, we know, is from WandaVision episode 2, when she first met Wanda Maximoff. This is the scene where we heard around the world, quote, "The devil's in the details, Bev," and the Mephisto train left the station. Thanks a lot for that quote, Shaq, man. You really gave me a fun weekend. But then we see a quick shot of Monica pushing through the hex wall, and then Kamala's memories from Ms. Marvel, including when she first found the bangle in the attic, and then Carol getting in the cockpit of the Rambeau plane with young Monica, and then Monica from WandaVision episode 3 when she was in the 70s attire, then Kamala from Ms. Marvel episode 4 when she was in Pakistan and first donned that blue mask.
Yes, and a flashback shows Maria Rambeau telling Carol that the cancer is back. This was during the blip because Maria died while Monica was dusted away. Maria wants Carol to take care of Goose at least until, Monica comes back. Maria always had hope that the dust victims would return. There's a quick shot of Monica dusting. They used that shot from WandaVision episode 4 where her particles came back together, but they played it in reverse here and sped it up. We also see Monica briefly in the moment she jumped in front of the bullets to save Billy and Tommy in WandaVision episode 9. All three of their memories are mixed. We got Monica realizing her mother died after she returned from the blip, Kamala crouching over the body of her great-grandmother Aisha after Najma had stabbed her in Ms. Marvel episode 5, Carol watching Dr. Wendy Lawson die in Captain Marvel.
So after these memories, they pull up a star map. Now, these planets are all coded the way MB418 was. There's GH528, there's PF919, there's VG429, and according to the design team Perception who put all these in there, these are all the initials and the birthdays of the artists who worked on this. So VG429 is Veronica Gale, born April 29th. That's why all the 3-digit codes, the latter two, never go above 31. Meanwhile, Manebo recognizes that Goose is looking kind of pudgy, and that Flurkin spends way too long licking itself. Why? Well, cat owners know that when cats are about to go into labor, they lick their abdomen and genital region persistently.
Ooh, I didn't know that, and I own 3 cats. That scene was too long. Kamala continues brainstorming names for Monica, pitching Spectrum Vision, and Carol says, Vision? Then apologizes because there's already an Avenger with that name, a dead one. Again, Wanda, wherever she is, keep his name out your mouth! The BC Boys Intergalactic plays as the 3 of them learn to sync their switches. I know it was all over the trailers, but it's the perfect song for 3 people working together and trying to synchronize with their perfect timing on one rhymed word. Well, now, don't you tell me to smile!
We see like a major case of Aurora Borealis. That's, you know, the northern lights, and these are caused by charged electrons and protons colliding with gases in Earth's upper atmosphere, and Earth's magnetic field steers the charged particles toward the poles. And since the UNTN uses cosmic radiation, that would result in a higher quantity of atmospheric particles charging than normal. And it kind of gives us a cool visual ticking clock for the increasing level of danger that Earth finds itself in. And I love this. Dag tells Yusuf that he's 306 years old, and when he and Talia discover the Flurkin egg, he says, sweet Svartalfheim. Now, Svartalfheim is one of the 9 realms in the Asgardian star map, and it's considered the Dark World. It's home to the Dark Elves, so it's kind of like him saying, holy hell, and I suppose that makes Dag an Asgardian, a recruit from the new Asgard colony, which would explain his awesome hair and beard.
Yes, he's beautiful. Monica now wears the 9 Inch Nails t-shirt that Carol stole in the Captain Marvel film. They land on the planet Ladmia, a planet that comes from Captain Marvel number 9 in 2014, where everyone speaks in rhyme and women choose men to be their mates until their practice was abolished by Prince Jan. This film heightens that to be an all-musical planet, and I eat this up. I ate this up. We learned that Carol previously helped Jan with a legal issue by marrying him to overcome a power struggle in a matriarchal society. It sounds like Carol helped dismantle the matriarchy.
Carol. Mine! It's mine! It's mine! There's a really fun design detail that John was telling us about while we were working on this. In the palace, its roof is in the shape of organ pipes. And if you look around, everything has this fun curved texture to it. A lot of the platforms are in the shape of music notes, treble clefs, bass clefs. One of those like announcers who's like, oh, they're coming! Like his hair pieces were definitely treble clefs. As a musical theater nerd, I love this goofy planet, you know? Like in every shot in this part of the movie, look at Iman Vellani. She is just fully rocking out. But rumor has it there was more to this section of the movie that was edited out of the film. And I wonder if it was some character beats to make these 3 out of sync heroes have to learn how to like harmonize or sync their choreography, like something musical related so they can learn to start working together. Because otherwise, just kind of going to a musical planet just seems random. Very fun, but I'll admit, random. Actually, speaking of musical theater stuff, the royal attaché with the amazing voice is Daniel Montero, who has played Simba and various other roles in the UK company of The Lion King.
Good for him. Prince Jan gives the 3 of them new battle outfits and a legion of soldiers. Kamala pitches another moniker, Pulsar, which is another codename used by Monica Rambeau in the comics. Monica tears off the extra sashes, but Kamala keeps her costume as it is. Then later, Jan tells Kamala to use her scarf as a weapon. So had Monica kept those sashes in place, maybe they would have helped her out.
Yeah, cool outfits. Darben's forces arrive, the battle begins. I love how Monica just phases through Prince Jan. Monica and Carol both try to blast Darben first at the same time, using their powers at the same time, so they switch and they both misfire. It's kind of like the 3 Peter Parkers initially failing to swing together in harmony. They're just out of step. And then Carol takes the wheel and tries to push things higher, further, faster. But because she's trying to do it alone, it doesn't work.
Nia DaCosta said she based a lot of the action visuals on Final Fantasy VII Advent Children, which she used in her pitch to direct this movie. She cited the fight scenes in the ending sequence where a character is thrown into the sky.
Because things aren't going well, Kamala makes the call to retreat, and then they land on this grassland planet, and there's this odd wide shot shot of the ship landing and the three of them deboarding, arguing, and I'm pretty sure the three of them are VFX in this shot, because when we cut to them in close-up, notice how the three actors are clearly on a green screen set or the volume, and then they're only shown in single shots as they have this like dramatic moment talking to each other and healing. I just think this might be a bit rushed, and they put this in the movie just to make sure that they hit this crucial moment where they're healing, where they're resetting before the final battle. It's just so Carol could like confess her guilt over Hala, but because just the visual looks so like neutral and odd, I think there might have been a different version of this scene in the storyboard or in the previs.
Interesting. The Flurkins hatch, my favorite scene. Talia thinks they're doomed, and Dag says, in the end, none of us choose how we transfer from this life to the next. This is truly some Asgardian platitude. That's what makes Valhalla so sacred to them. The warrior chooses to rush into their fate head on.
And since the Flurkins' mouths contain these pocket realities to house whatever they swallow, they use the Flurkin kits to swallow all the Saber cadets so that they can cram into these evac pods, and it is set to memory from Andrew Lloyd Webber's Cats, and it's sung here by Barbara Streisand. Oh yeah, it's not the original cast recording, it's Barbara's cover, and it's better for, I mean, the original cast recording is great, but
it's Barbara Streisand.
It's and you know what, everyone makes fun of Cats because that stupid movie in 2019, but it's supposed to be campy, and look, you can have your opinions about the sequence, and you know, Marvel loves to try to have animals save the day, even in stories that are not about nature versus industry, and a lot of people can't get on board with it. I love it though, and I think what I love most about it is the fact that the Saber cadets are terrified. The PA announcement is telling everyone to stop running and let the Flurkin swallow them, and they can't do it, and it's just so funny to me.
I love that this movie is like about three very strong, very strong women, but that feminine push is still coming through, even when it's like Cats the musical, these kittens, but they're monstrous and strong, just like these women. Beautiful, strong. I love that scene. I ate it up. Okay, back on track. Fury's pod plunges to Earth past the Statue of Liberty, which is copper colored. This connects the Marvels to the continuity of Spider-Man No Way Home, which featured New Yorkers restoring the Statue of Liberty from its green oxidized color to its original copper, with Lady Liberty holding Cap's shield. Miss Marvel episode 6 originally showed the Statue of Liberty with its real world green color, but since then Disney Plus updated the episode so that statue appears copper.
So the rift that Darben opens to siphon Earth's sun is too unstable, and it causes bolts of purple light to crack through space, and yeah, this does look quite a bit like the reality cracks in Spider-Man No Way Home from Doctor Strange's spell, and it is the same general concept. That was one rift opening to Sony's universe of Marvel characters. This rift opens to the Fox universe of Marvel characters.
Insane. Darben regains her hammer and presses it to Kamala's head. Its purple glow looks like the way Thanos pressed the Power Stone to Thor's temple to threaten Loki in Infinity War. Darben gains the second quantum band, the rift blows open, and Darben disintegrates. And if you look closely as the purple's energy surges through the rift, you can see in the distance briefly a black hole.
Ooh, we really didn't get an accurate cinematic depiction of a black hole until Christopher Nolan's Interstellar in 2014. It's because Kip Thorne advised hey, this is what it will look like, and Christopher Nolan's like, I will spend several years of my life conceiving this and putting it on screen. Basically, this is what it looks like if you look in the background there. It's kind of like a ring of light surrounding a dark disk with another band of light cutting across it, the event horizon. We saw black holes looking like this in Loki season 1 episode 6 as we transferred from one universe into the other. And Loki season 2 has referenced going into black holes as a cause of spaghettification, and a book on black holes was among the collection of OB, aka AD Doug. So here, that black hole flashes into a new universe on this other side of this rift, and notice how there's a red-orange colored nebula surrounding another planet, perhaps an alternate Earth. The mid-credit scene suggests that this is the Earth of an X-Men universe. In that video I did breaking it down, I argue that it could be a continued timeline following the happy ending epilogue of X-Men Days of Future Past. This red-orange cloud that's surrounding Earth has me a bit concerned though. Could be the Phoenix Force. Maybe though, the redness is a symptom of this Earth undergoing an incursion.
Ooh, I like that. Carol and Kamala blast Monica with the same energy that tore this hole. The two bands plus Carol. Kamala whispers Bismillah. We heard this throughout Miss Marvel. It's Arabic for in the name of God, the merciful and compassionate. Monica transforms, her body glows and her eyes shine silver. Carol says, your mom would be proud. And Monica responds, higher, further, faster. It's not spoken, but Monica becomes Photon in this moment. Photon was her mother's call sign, and it's the only rightful moniker for her to use.
And do you think by saying Bismillah, Kamala was blessing this moment? Like there was a higher power of gods who was elevating Monica to this status?
Yeah, I hope.
That's how we'll think about it. So Monica pulls the hexagonal tiles back into place, sealing herself on the other side of it. Now, whereas before, it was Monica who zipped up to try to catch Kamala, and she just kind of flew through Kamala. Now, it's Carol trying to save Monica and simply flying through that empty space. So the Khans help Carol move into the Rambeau house in Louisiana. Carol carries two huge boxes that she just kind of smushes together. One is marked Goose Snacks, and the other is Carol Snacks. Carol is apparently a bit of a snacker, and I assume that Carol did not buy those snacks from locally owned stores because she prefers snacks with no seasoning on them. Mine.
He said, mine.
This home
mine.
mine.
This is my house.
Why is she moving into it?
I want that to be the only takeaway from this movie is why would she take their house? Muneeba finds the golden tray from Ladmia depicting Carol and Prince Yan. Is Prince Yan dead?
What happened to Prince Yan in this movie? We don't.
Well, just because the water's gone doesn't mean they're all dead.
Did they take all their water?
Well, they took
some of their water.
If they had 96.6%, it's probably majority gone.
How much?
But taking out all the water from a planet wouldn't kill it, right, Dashiell? God, they gotta come back to it. They're gonna come back to it, and we'll see him. He'll be fine singing. He's bilingual. Carol sits in the cockpit of the Rambeau plane with Kamala. Carol says she's just looking out for it until Monica gets back, echoing Maria's hope that Monica would return from the blip someday.
So I broke down both the final scene and the mid-credit scene in our other video, but just to recap, Kamala recruits Kate Bishop, who's introduced in the Hawkeye series, to join a Young Avengers lineup, saying that she put out feelers to Cassie Lang. And yes, the scene pays homage to Nick Fury's first recruiting of Tony Stark to join the Avenger Initiative in the Iron Man post-credit scene. And then the mid-credit scene has Monica waking up in the basement medical bay of the X-Mansion with Maria Rambeau from this other universe going by the moniker Binary, who never had a daughter, and Kelsey Grammer returns as Hank McCoy Beast, last seen X-Men Days of Future Past and X-Men The Last Stand. But he is a VFX reconception of the character. They use like motion capture and like they use a character model similar to what they use for Mark Ruffalo for Hulk. Like I think he just has the same face with different facial hair and glasses. McCoy mentions Charles wanting an update. Charles Xavier exists somewhere in this mansion, and we hear the X-Men movie themes from X2, X-Men United, and Days of Future Past. What a film.
It was so crazy to see this movie all play out, seeing all the flirking, seeing all of it go, and being like, I love these three women more than anything, more than life itself. And here's Kelsey Grammer. Here's Kelsey Grammer as Beast. And I was like, this is crazy. And this is the second time we're gonna see Xavier in the MCU that is alive. This one's alive. I hope somehow someone tells him that he died in another reality.
I think he knows. He felt it. Jessica, thank you so much for coming back to break down this movie with me. Let's do this again soon.
Oh, of course, anytime, anywhere. Further, faster. Further, faster.
Follow Jessica at Lulu_Clemons. Follow me at EA Voss. Subscribe to all 3 channels on the new Rockstars Network. Hey, grab one of these Flirkin shirts from nerdriot.shop and come hang out with us. If you live in the LA area, we got a live show Thursday, November 16th at Braindead Studios. We'll see you next time. Bye, everybody.
Bye.